it were me, I would have made sure that I would have stayed the aggressor in that situation, and I would have made sure that everybody knew exactly what was said and what happened down in that scrum. Because in this day and age, with social media, with as much as we covered it, there is no reason to hide what he said. Everyone needs to know what he said, because this can't happen for the league. It is ugly for the NFL when you have black players, white players, Mexican players, whoever it is playing, right? And then all of a sudden we're talking about racial slurs being mentioned when you're in the middle of a game. So if it were me, I would have handled it much differently than Myles Garrett.
Then Myles Garrett, you're saying,
Myles Garrett
has.
Yes.
Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I still think Rudolph, there's no need to exacerbate the situation. Once your helmet comes off, dude, move on. Like, don't go chase him. Don't go chase him. There's nothing good coming out of that. I still think you should have either been fined or suspended at least once.
Definitely. You were surprised that there was no discipline, at least that we're aware of, for Rudolph in this.
I think so.
Bobby, your thoughts?
Real quickly when I look at this, Myles Garrett did allude to something potentially being said after the game, and if he did want to keep
Kitchens.
Yes, if he did want to keep it quiet, I do respect that in the sense that I'm talking in this appeals meeting. I didn't think this was meant for broad dissemination. I didn't necessarily want everybody in the league to know about this, because I didn't want to try to label Mason Rudolph as a racist or whatever it could have been. And so if that is the case, I respect it. But the NFL, I don't think they took this lightly. They probably reviewed all the audio, and you don't necessarily say one person's lying, but either it happened or it didn't. And there was enough people and probably enough audio that the NFL felt pretty solid about their decision.
Well, that to me is the conclusion that I reach, is that something terrible happened here. Either way. So one of two things I think is true. There's no third option. Either Mason Rudolph said something despicable on a football field, or Myles Garrett is lying about that. And either one of those is terrible. And I don't see a third option here. I would love for there to have been some other kind of mistake, because you hate to see something like this happening in this game that all of us love. But at the end of the day, I think one of those two things is the truth here. We may never fully know. People will have their opinion on what it is.
If it did happen, it absolutely needs to be addressed. That's what stinks about it. I would have rained to the heavens, everyone, this is what happened. This is why I acted that way. By the way, I don't act that way normally. If I'm Myles Garrett, this is what happened, and we need to address it. NFL, you're supposed to step in and help us out, help me out about a player saying this to me. I don't know if it happened. I'm just saying that's how I would have reacted.
Right. Again, you heard Adam Schefter say the NFL did what sounds like a comprehensive investigation into this and did not find any evidence of what Myles Garrett is alleging. So that's that story from last week. Again, a bad story that took a turn for the even uglier yesterday. Let's go back on the field here as we look ahead to what we hope will be an outstanding NFL weekend with really big games. Running the hurry up, Vilma, Panthers, Saints on Sunday. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for that Saints defense, and we rarely talk about how great they are because of Drew Brees, but they have been outstanding. 4 interceptions last week versus Tampa Bay. They haven't allowed over 100 yards rushing in 34 straight games. That is how good and salty the New Orleans Saints defense has been. We know about Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be a long day for him and Kyle Allen.
Packers and Niners could be an NFC Championship preview. Sanchez, what do you got?
I'm going with the Niners. I love what Jimmy Garoppolo's doing. And let's not forget, their coordinator who's calling all these plays had the Patriots on the ropes 28-3 in that Super Bowl. We all know how it ended up. But still, these guys have a great defense. They're playing well. And the last time the Packers went out to the West Coast against the Chargers, it was ugly. They couldn't block anybody. That offensive line was porous. Look out. Nick Bosa's coming after Aaron Rodgers.
And then another big game, Seahawks, Eagles. Bobby, what are we looking at with Carson Wentz?
Well, you look at Carson Wentz, he hasn't been great since he returned from 2018 as the starter. They're beat up. They don't necessarily have all the weapons. If Lane Johnson's out, you have Jadeveon Clowney breathing down his neck. This is going to be a rough situation for Philly as you have a loaded Seattle team coming in and Wentz not playing all that well.
And then that brings us to what I believe will be the most watched game of this NFL season, and that is Cowboys and Patriots in Foxborough, with Dak Prescott leading the league in passing, but he hasn't beaten a defense like New England's this year. Here's what he had to say yesterday in advance of this monster matchup.
Talk about win-to-win championships and the old timers. You got to beat the people that have won, right? So this is a good test for us, I guess you could say. Going on the road, going against a championship team that since I've been in the league, they've been in the Super Bowl. So it's an exciting matchup, as you said. We're doing pretty well on offense, but it's about playing complementary football. We've got to do it as a whole team. Looking forward to doing that.
Just digest that for 1 second. Every year that he's been in the league, the Patriots have been in the Super Bowl. That wasn't like a figure of speech. That literally has happened.
That really happened. That's crazy.
That said, this Mark Sanchez was you once upon a time, a young, up-and-coming quarterback going into Foxborough against Tom Brady. What does Dak need to be thinking about?
The most important thing is you're not playing against Tom Brady. I don't know how to say that enough. But it's also hard not to keep one eye on the big screen when he's throwing deep balls to Randy Moss and
look at him.
Wait, who's that?
Look at Sanchez to Jericho Cotchery against the Patriots.
Kid played all right back in my prime, you know? No.
Oh, there's an interception. Oh.
No. Quiet, Hembo.
For the record, this is a home game. I remember this game.
Yeah.
This was your second game as a pro, and you beat them here. But now he's going up into Foxborough, and that's a different kettle of fish.
I'm telling you, something always happens up there. You guys have played there. Something happens. The communication goes out. So, I'm telling you something. The coaches don't make it to halftime to the locker room on time. Something happens up there.
Are you saying the Patriots are cheating?
I never said that.
Okay.
I said they're very competitive. Okay. And I appreciate that as a competitor. But I'm telling you, something's going to happen. He's got to prepare for the worst. But also remember, you're not playing against Tom Brady, so just focus on what you need to focus on, and that's that defense.
And Bobby, I want to talk to you about, this is something that we've been talking about a little this week. It's been so much about Dak, and he has deserved all of the credit that he's gotten, and Sanchez was early on that bandwagon. But when you look at that Patriot defense, maybe this is the week that it becomes Zeke Elliott's show.
Well, the Patriots defense isn't great at stopping the run, but if you look back the last 2 weeks, Sanchez, he's got the Dak torch. He's ready to go. The problem is he's thrown for 400 yards and looked really good. They lost to Minnesota, and they barely beat the Detroit Lions led by Jeff Driscoll. This wasn't even a Matt Stafford team. So the way this team is constructed is they want to run the football and shorten the amount of time their defense is on the field. Zeke was not great last week. He was okay the week before that, but this is a team that is much better equipped to win when they are running the football.
Vilma, final thought.
Yeah, preach it, Bobby. I mean, it's everything that you said. And to be more specific, Zeke Elliott needs to be out of the shotgun trying to run the ball. He needs to be with a fullback in front of him or have Dak under center so he can go both sides. That's when Zeke Elliott is best, and that's the way the team was built. How many years did Jerry Jones draft an offensive lineman in the first round to build a team? That's what it is.
Because what you're seeing here are all these Patriot interceptions, because what no one has been able to do is throw the ball against this team because that secondary is so ridiculously good.
They are lights out. They are awesome, and they again, turnovers, takeaways, the most important stat for defense. That is what the Patriots do very well.
Monster game on Sunday. We will have a lot of time this morning to look ahead to what is one of the best weekends that we've had so far as the schedule in the NFL, including coming up Aaron Rodgers quietly having a huge season, but is it possible he will meet his match in San Francisco? We have a closer look at that game and, of course, the showdown in Columbus. What will happen to the college football playoff race if Penn State upsets Ohio State?
Not happening.
You've got that answer and more. Don't give it away.